Welcome to the record. I'm Mark Maxwell. The Missouri House and Senate wrap up and go home in just about 27 hours at their deadline. And as of right now, control of the St. Louis Police Department remains in the hands of the mayor and city voters. Rudi Keller joins us live at the top of our program from Jefferson City, where he covers the legislature for the Missouri Independent. Rudi, influential Republican senators are writing op-eds arguing this week against taking the police department out of the mayor's hands. I want to read you an excerpt from Senator Cindy O'Laughlin, who said, quote, "I think the new police chief needs a chance to make the system work before we intervene," and, quote, "inserting Jefferson City politics into the control of their police force is not a next step." How would you describe her influence to our audience in the Senate, and is that a sign this push is dead?
Senator O'Laughlin is the majority leader. Best description is she's a traffic cop on the Senate floor. She decides what comes up, who moves ahead, who stops. And the push for this bill, all the momentum behind it was related to the effort to oust Kim Gardner as circuit attorney. And now that she has decided to resign effective June 1st, that took all of the impetus behind this bill. There have been a couple of attempts to revive it, but the local control was just granted to the police department about 10 years ago. So whether that has completely been fully developed as an idea, has it been given a full opportunity to work? Senator O'Laughlin clearly thinks no. So I think that issue is gone for the year.
It looks like it's gone. Okay, that's some developing news. Certainly something that seemed apparent or imminent from that op-ed, and you put a finer point on it for us. I want to move on to another issue a lot of our audience is watching carefully. The president of the St. Louis Cardinals, Bill DeWitt III, said just recently that he would take the fight for legal sports betting to the ballot in 2024 if the Senate doesn't legalize it now. Where does that plan stand at this hour as we approach this deadline? And is there any sign you can see that the Cardinals' pitch broke through that Senate logjam?
Well, that pitch is about as effective as Cardinal pitching on the field has been this year. It didn't really change anything. There is rumor that there will be one last stab at it, perhaps this evening in the Missouri Senate, which is the roadblock. It's been passed a couple of times in the Missouri House. There's a senator from Warrensburg who is insistent that video lottery terminals be part of this plan. Senator Denny Hoskins of Warrensburg, argues that video lottery terminals would generate far more for education than sports wagering will. But sports wagering is obviously the thing that has got everybody's imagination. It's what you see in commercials on St. Louis television. Come on over to Illinois where you can bet on the Cardinals. During the Chiefs-Bengals game in the playoffs, there were thousands of people in the stadium blocked from making bets over in Kansas City. So and every state on our border, save one, has already legalized sports wagering. So it seems like we should do it, but it's not happening in the Assembly unless this last gasp effort comes through.
Is the thinking that one cannot get through without the other, that video lottery terminals and sports betting are intrinsically linked together, or is there a standalone bill that could still pass?
Bills that could still pass. It's who is linking them and their willingness to get in the way of a bill that does not. And Senator Hoskins has shown that he is willing to get in front of any bill that does not provide for both.
One of the more controversial political and cultural issues that affects the medical community was getting a lot of attention this legislative session throughout most of it. Just last month, at the end of last month, Governor Parson threatened to interrupt lawmakers' summer schedule, their summer break, call them back into special session if they didn't regulate and restrict sports or medical care for trans minors. Was that prompt from Governor Parson sign that Republicans weren't entirely unified or aligned on this issue and needed an extra spark? Or how would you just describe the supermajority's direction or motivation on these issues?
Well, the House was willing to go as far as any conservative wants to go in Missouri, with a complete ban on these treatments for minors, no allowance for continuation of treatments that are already underway, and a complete ban on the participation in sports based on the gender that you identify with. But the bills that have passed have, for treatment, there's a 4-year moratorium and allowance for treatments to continue if they're already underway. And this was worked out in the Senate over hours and days of debate in the Senate, and it was clear that nothing stricter than that could pass. So the House took up and passed the Senate version without changing even as so much as where a comma is. And so that bill is on the governor's desk. Same on the ban on participation in sports. That bill is headed to the governor's desk. The governor is a former legislator. I think that he realizes what is realistic, and so he will accept that and not call a special session, would be my forecast.
And it sounds like a safe bet, given his public statements. He will sign it. Rudi Keller and his colleagues at the Missouri Independent doing a lot of good shoe leather reporting, providing context, and you can see more of their reporting up on their website online. Rudi, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Mark.